When the Elden Ring DLC was announced, I was excited, but not as much as other people were, and I felt I was missing out on the hype. So I decided to go back and play Elden Ring and fell into the deep rabbit hole of Vati video lore videos. And in that rabbit hole, I had an idea. What about a pacifist run? How far could you get without attacking or killing a single enemy? Obviously, I'm not the first to do a video like this, but my goal isn't to see if I can beat the game using only summons or whatever cheese methods there are. My goal is to just see what you can do before killing a single boss in the game. And for starters, I want to say that yes, it is impossible to beat the game without killing anything or the use of glitches. Now, let's get into it. After making our character and dying, we can run past the tree sentinel and reach the Grace and rest at it. After that seamless task, I head over to the gatefront and get Torrent, and this is where the real journey starts. I didn't know this during my first playthrough, but you can completely skip Margit and the entire Stonevale part of the game. Following this side route onto the bridge and following the path, we're able to reach Liurnia without doing anything all that special. From here we can even enter Raya Lucaria by just yoinking the key from the sleeping dragon, and we can run past everything pretty easily. And here we end up grabbing some new drip, and in the process of that, I refound my hatred for the enemy hounds. God, they're annoying. There's not really a whole lot of other things we can do, as we're just hardwalled by the Red Wolf of Radagon. I also want to preface that I won't be covering every single item that you can grab, but I'll try to focus on the notable items, such as legendary items. And since we can't do much here at the Academy, we can head to Caria Manor, and by just running past everything and reaching the Manor lower level Grace, and following this pathing, we can end up getting the Sword of Night and Flame, all without killing a single enemy. Obviously you can't just use it off rip due to the stat requirement. However, if you just collect a bunch of golden runes off the floor, you'll get a pretty good amount of runes, but that's not really something I'm going to be focused on. I'm not really going to be loving this character at all. Kind of makes me wish it chose to start at level 1, but it doesn't really matter. Also, the Sword of Night and Flame is the only legendary weapon you can do, as all others are locked behind bosses or enemies in some way or another. We also cannot proceed past Caria Manor at all due to having to fight Loretta, and as such, we can't do any of Ronnie's questline at all. The final thing you can do here in Liurnia is you can actually get the first half of the secret medallion, since you don't have to kill any enemies to get it from Albus. However, the other half is completely cut off since you need to kill Commander Nile for that, and even then you can't reach that for reasons I'll explain later in the video. Now, I'm not going to pick up the medallion purely because if I do, it'll prevent me from doing anything at the round table since it prompts an invasion from Ensha when traveling there. You may think that the last thing we can do is maybe explore some of Caelid, which, while we can do that, we can also reach the Altus Plateau, as both halves of the Dectus Medallion are obtainable without killing anything at all. You can find one half in Fort Feroth in Caelid, past the giant pile of ruins named Greyall, and while we're here, we can also get the Radagon Sword Seal, which is the one and only legendary talisman that we can get on a true pacifist run. After doing a masterful escape, we can get the other half of the Dectus Medallion in the Mistwoods in Fort Hate, and then we can head to the Dectus Lift by using the Spirit Spring by the Finger Reader. From here, we can just focus on the road to the lift and use the medallion. Since we've reached the Altus Plateau, we can reach a lot of places, and one thing I wanted to see is if I could get any legendary incantations or spells. So I ran all the way around and snuck past this magma worm to reach the sorcerer Azure, where normally you get the spell Comet Azure, and I was confused as to why I wasn't getting the spell after talking to him, but after trying a bit more and just spamming the interact button even though nothing was popping up, I ended up getting it. So that means you can get a single legendary incantation without killing any enemies, which is pretty cool. However, we're not able to get any other legendary spells or incantations at all, as all of them are locked behind quests or locations which require some form of killing. The same goes for all the legendary summons, which means that the only legendary items we can obtain are the Sword of Night and Flame, Comet Azure, and the Radagon Sword Seal. Another notable item we can get without killing anything is the America Scar Seal. If we enter down the Siofra well, and then continue down the second lift and reach this side of Grace, we can run over to this pillar, which contains a waygate, which teleports us to where the Dragonkin Soldier is. But we can just run along the edge of the waterfall, and we can just pick up the Scar Seal. Also, by taking the trap chest in the Tower of Return from the Weeping Peninsula, we can also reach the Divine Bridge and run past the Golem to get the Blessed Dew Talisman. If we return to the Altus Plateau and head towards the capital, we're prevented from entering the capital at all due to the Draconic Tree Sentinel who guards the entrance. However, even if he were to knock him off the map as a sort of loophole, because we technically didn't kill him or attack him, which I guess you technically would be attacking him, but whatever, that's beside the point. I personally would count that as breaking the pacifist run, which is why I chose not to, but even in the case of us doing that, you're completely unable to do anything until you have 2 runes to enter the capital, which we get from certain enemies, and the only ones available before that would be Godric, Renala, Radahn, Rykard, and Mohg. Although, let me start by saying that Mohg is currently unreachable unless you already have 1 Great Rune, as Vare will not spawn at the Rose Church before you have any Great Runes and talk to Enya at the Round Table. Since we're not killing any enemies, the capital is completely unreachable, even from the deep root depths, as killing is required to reach that. We can, however, get the Twinned Armor after D dies by doing some of Fia's questline. After you reach Radahn's castle, the Redmane castle, and have started the festival, which can be prompted by just reaching any of the graces in the Altus Plateau, I just ran into the fight with Radahn and messed around with the summons, then I just let him kill me. That seemed to work, but I don't know if you have to go that far, or just have the festival there. But either way, after doing this, I just spoke to Fia again, and she gave me an item to give to D, and after speaking to her again after giving it to D, sounds weird, I exhausted her dialogue and reloaded the round table, and she appeared in this room in front of his corpse, and then she disappeared after some dialogue. This is currently the furthest we can do in her questline at the moment. You can also get his bell bearing from his corpse, which is one of the few you can get without physically killing any enemies herself. The only other one I could manage to obtain was the smithing stone bell bearing in the sealed tunnel, which is in the chest and just requires some running to reach. The last thing we can do is reach Volcano Manor. The easiest route would be to just talk to Raya and get her necklace back from the thief at the Boiled Prawn Shack. We can buy it for 1,000 runes, which we can actually really easily get by just popping some of the golden runes we picked up while running around. And after giving it back to Raya and heading back up to the Altus Plateau, we can find her in the Lux runes where she'll teleport us to Volcano Manor. One thing to note, she was supposed to appear at the top of the Dectus lift for me since I used the medallion, but I assume that since I was up there before speaking to her, it registered as me reaching it through the side route, but I'm not 100% sure on that. After reaching Volcano Manor, there's not a whole lot we can do except explore around the area a bit and pick up a few items, but we're kinda hardwalled for everything by this Godskin Noble. The main items that are useful that we can grab are the Somber Smithing Stones. I couldn't manage to get Somber Smithing Stone 7 from this ledge, although it's apparently technically possible, still according to the wiki. I was kinda just stuck at level 6 for my Sword of Night and Flame. Even if we did get the Somber Stone 7, I don't think I could technically get past that, as the Somber Stone 8 requires killing a scarab, which would kinda break the rules of the challenge, but if you're being more lenient on that term, I'll leave a link to the wiki page that I followed when getting all of the Somber Stones to level my weapon. One thing I almost forgot is that you can also get the Erdtree Favor talisman near the Stranded Graveyard site of Grace. It does cost a Stone Sword key, but you can buy one from a few different merchants. After running past the poison, we can avoid the chariot by hiding in these little cubbies or whatever they are. At the third one on the right, with this exile in it, we can wait for the chariot to go back up while avoiding attacks. As soon as the chariot passes back upwards, we can drop down the side and run to this ledge and drop down. There are 2 imps that can be pretty annoying to avoid, so be wary of that. We can bait the fire out, and just as the fire dissipates, we run to this side cubby, but be careful because there is an imp hiding in it. Once the fire goes and dissipates again, we can run past it and across the bridge. There's an item where a Scion will land. If we just run next to it, we can pick up the Erdtree Talisman. Another Scion will land on the other side of the bridge, but we can pretty easily avoid that and escape. That's pretty much everything you can do in a true pacifist run. Obviously there were plenty of items I didn't pick up and that I didn't show, but I tried my best to highlight the main focuses, such as legendary or rare items or useful ones. That's all for now. Have a great rest of your day, and adios.